Everyone, it's Rod with the Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. Today is Friday, August 2nd. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, going to do a quick update on SNDL's Q2 2024 earnings. They released the earnings late last night, so it was a bit of an early release. And they did miss in terms of estimates. If you recall the video that I had posted last night, it was actually just a few hours before the earnings came out. I gave the revenue estimates and EPS estimates, and they did miss in terms of both. So we're going to go over all of this as well. And there was a bearish pattern on the hourly chart, which we'll take a look. But it looks like the stock could be down about 5 to 10% at the open, assuming there's no major developments on the call that could turn things around. Overall, not a bad report though. And until, like I said in yesterday's video, it's not a big deal. I'm not paying too much attention to these earnings right now until, these MJ companies can start to string 2-3 back-to-back quarters, see some real profitability across the sector, and then big improvements to excise tax, right? Once it switches from a flat fee to a potential percentage fee, that's going to add tens, if not hundreds of millions to some of these companies' bottom lines on an annual basis. So a lot of the numbers that we're looking at right now don't really do justice. So like I said, we're so early in the growth phase. Germany looking to fast track Pillar 2. We've got the U.S. market, not even really, you get Sunstream and, that special purpose vehicle, essentially an investment arm of SNDL, but there's so much to look forward to, and this is not a bad report overall. They did miss in terms of analyst estimates though, so we'll go over the numbers in a moment. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. That's actually where I posted the SNDL results as well. So we'll go through this here real quickly. And just as a reminder, the conference call will be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so 8 a.m. Mountain Time local here to Calgary, Alberta. And all the information that was reported was in Canadian dollars. So I mentioned yesterday that the analyst estimates, adding them all up and getting a consensus, was 241 million. And then if we just take a look at investing, you can see 240.4 million came in at 221.13. So right here, 228.1 million for the quarter. So a pretty big miss. And then it was compared to 231.9 million in the second quarter of 2023, a decrease of 1.6%. The decrease was driven by market softness in the liquor retail segment, while both MJ retail and MJ operations segments posted strong growth. So that was a key highlight there. This represents an increase of 15.4% in net revenue quarter over quarter, as compared to net revenue of 197.8 million in the first quarter of 2024, mainly attributed to business seasonality. So they continue to say that. They also said that they were getting rid of products that weren't driving profitability. So those high cost, low margin products, I believe it was in the last quarter. So, but they continue to say that most of it is due to seasonality. So we should start to see a trend back into a decent growth trajectory over the next couple of quarters, in my opinion. So they had a gross profit of 58.2 million, representing a record gross margin of 25.5% of the sales in the second quarter of 2024. And that was up from 22.4% in the second quarter of 2023. So that was great to see. Cash flow was negative 6 million. Free cash flow in the second quarter of 2024 was negative 5.6 million. Operating loss was 4.8 million for the second quarter of 2024. So if we just take their the loss, divide that by the number of shares, you got negative 0.018. So essentially negative 0.02 for EPS. So they did miss the EPS forecast was 0, so flat. So it did come in with a slight miss there as well. So that's why I think we could see about 5 to 10% of downside here today. Maybe a little bit more than 10% if the S&P 500 is weak. But we'll see what happens here at the open. And like I said, we do have the call coming up in about an hour and a half from the time of this recording. So we'll see what happens on the call. Maybe they can turn things around. Maybe some sort of announcement. We'll see. Not expecting a major announcement or anything like that. But yeah, we'll continue to, I'll do my best to join that call as well. So I'm not going to go through the whole entire report, but really the only segment that didn't see growth was that liquor segment. So we'll go through, there were some comments there from Zach George, CEO. I did want to go through the cash at the end of the quarter as well. I think they were sitting on quite a bit. I think they were sitting on like 700 some million. Let me just bring that up here real quickly. Yeah, the company had $783.6 million of unrestricted cash, marketable securities, and investments, and no outstanding debt, with $182.9 million of unrestricted cash as of June 30th, 2024. SNDL has not raised cash through share offerings since June of 2021, so that's great to see. And basically, what I'm looking for in these companies, especially in Canada, is differentiation. How are they differentiating themselves, and what's their competitive advantage versus other MJ companies in Canada? And one thing I really like about SNDL is they're very differentiated. They have their retail liquor, they have their retail MJ, and they also have their MJ operations. So they're a producer as well. So they will benefit from an improvement in the excise tax if we switch to a percentage fee. But, obviously they're not charged excise taxes on their retail operations because that's only for producers, right? So that will benefit them. And while, rescheduling in the U.S. may not benefit SNDL directly, it won't have an immediate impact, but it will on the on their Sunstream investments, right? So that part of it will drive some benefit. But again, it's going to be a while before we start to see major changes. And like I said, if we take a look at this report, it's not a bad report overall, but it's going to change drastically once we have improvements to excise taxes. Once we see Germany come back online, they mentioned as well, now that I think of it, following SNDL's inaugural international export contract with IMMJ Corp in Israel, the company is pursuing EU GMP certification at its Atholville facility, which is in New Brunswick, to expand its international export footprint further and increase business-to-business opportunities within emerging global markets such as the UK and Germany. And we know that the rest of the EU is more than likely to follow suit after Germany. And like I said, rescheduling in the US, and then inevitably, ultimately, we'll get to descheduling and full-blown legalization in the U.S., right? So it's looking good. And they talk about here, SNDL continues to monitor local and international regulatory changes, including the potential U.S. reclassification of MJ from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 under the U.S. Controlled Substances Act. The decision does not directly affect SNDL operations, which are located solely in Canada, though it is expected to have a favorable effect on the Sunstream joint venture investments in the United States. So like I said, the conference call will be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Mountain Time. And you can find the details down here at the bottom. So there'll also be a replay of the webcast as well. So conference call, and then there's the replay. So we'll just jump through, like I said, the analyst estimates. In terms of EBITDA, just bring that up real quickly here as well. So in terms of EBITDA, they were forecasting negative 4.5 million. It came in at negative 4.613 million. So that wasn't a bad turnout as well. And then revenue, like I said, the analyst estimates were 241, came in at 228.127 million, and EPS is negative 0.018, but it looks like they just rounded it up to negative 0.02. So they did miss in terms of both of those. And if we take a look at the stock here, pre-market, it's down about 1.36%. So we could potentially see, like I said, somewhere around 5 to 10% down today. If the sector is really bleeding out, or the S&P 500, like I said, is super weak at the open, then that would not be good. That would be headwinds. And like I said, SPY seeing daily consolidation today, losing the low. We had key support there at 537.45, and we're sitting at 533 here pre-market. So this is the lowest we've been since way back in June, the second week of June. And we're still seeing an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross on the S&P 500 as well. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the SNDL price was down about 5 to 10% this morning at the bell. We do have support coming up at 213, and after that 205, and then $2 psychological. And then, like I said, on the hourly chart, it was an hourly bear flag that we were looking at potentially confirming, and that's what's playing out here pre-market. If you take your high to the low, it was a very weak bounce, and we lost 219, so that confirmed it. So now we're looking at a measured move down to roughly 212. So like I said, that bearish pattern was more than likely going to play out, in my opinion. And like I said, we do have support there at 213. So we're still in a daily uptrend, though. We have our low, high, higher low, and higher high, higher low. But now we just confirmed a daily downtrend with a lower high and lower low pre-market. We'll want to see what happens. I don't really pay too much attention to pre-market, but we'll want to see what happens here at the bell. But if we do lose 213 come bell time and at market open, then that's a daily downtrend confirmed with a lower high and lower low. And then that just means zoom out to the weekly time frame and look for weekly consolidation, which would more than likely be the case. So it's Friday. That might not happen this week. We'd have to lose 208 to start weekly consolidation, which means that would be about another 4% of downside from here. It's impossible. It's very possible. And this looks like a potential weekly head and shoulders here as well on the weekly time frame. Not expecting that to be the most likely scenario, but it is a pattern that we're watching, and that we'll have to we'll have to monitor, right? But like I said, would not be set up well if the S&P 500 were to see any weakness as well. So we'll just be watching key supports. You have 212, and then 205, and then $2 psychological. After that, there's really no support all the way down to 186, I believe it was. Yeah. So we'll continue to monitor, and we'll join the conference call. I'll do my best to join that. If I can't join the live one, I'll do a replay more than likely. But like I said, unless something drastic happens on the conference call that can turn things around, I would more than likely expect about 5 to 10% of downside. Overall, not a bad report. I do own SNDL in my portfolio as well. As always, it's not financial advice. It's just my own thoughts and opinions, and you should never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say, all right? All right, it's Rod with Powell Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this report in the comments section below. We'll continue the conversation there. If there's anything that I missed that you think I should bring up on the next video, please let me know. But yeah, let me know what stood out to you the most, what you found the most positive or negative about this report. Always love hearing from you. All right, have a great day, and we'll see you again on the next video.